Today, we're diving into something I've learned a lot over the years, networking. But don't worry, I'm not here to preach about collecting a mountain of business cards. I want to talk about a more minimalistic approach, one that cuts out the fluff and focuses on what really matters, genuine relationships. We've all been there. You go to a networking event, meet a ton of people, exchange business cards, and then they vanish into an abyss of forgotten contacts. Trust me, I've been there too. But over the years, I've realized that real value in networking isn't about the numbers. It's about finding the select few who share your vision and are walking the same path towards a similar goal. My name's George, and I co-founded a startup called Wave, a digital business card that helps you connect at networking events. And in this video, I'm going to share some simple but powerful ways to make your connections count. We'll talk about how really listening can open doors, why following up matters more than you think, and how just being yourself can make networking so much easier. Plus, I'll throw in some tips on improving your conversation skills and even how you can help others by introducing them to the right people. Sounds good? Let's dive in. Let's start with something crucial, networking with intention. Here's something I learned early on. Networking isn't a numbers game. It's easy to feel like you have to meet everyone in the room, but real connections don't come from handing out a stack of cards. They come from thoughtful, meaningful interactions. When I say intention, I mean taking the time to understand who you're talking to, why you want to connect, and how you can genuinely add value. A lot of it is just about having an engaging conversation that will potentially lead to a long-term relationship, not just a quick exchange of details. Now, here's the fun part, being yourself. Stop overthinking. Networking isn't just about having a perfect pitch or rehearsed lines. It's about being authentic. When I meet people at events, we're not just talking about business all the time. We're just talking about life, hobbies, really whatever comes up. You don't need a script. You don't need a perfect elevator pitch. Just be yourself. When you connect with someone authentically, the business side will follow naturally. People are drawn to those who are real, and that's what's going to form a genuine relationship. When you're not constantly trying to sell a product or yourself, but instead just being human, it's amazing how much easier it is to let the conversation flow. The trust you're going to build through these real conversations is what's going to lead to those future opportunities, collaborations, deals, or really whatever else you're looking for. All right, let's talk about conversation for a second. They can really make or break a connection. First, take your time. I've met people who speak at the speed of light. No joke. I used to be one of those people. There's no rush to fill every pause. Speaking more slowly boosts active listening. It gives people more time to really absorb and connect with what you're saying. Plus, it helps build trust and rapport because it shows you're patient and genuinely engaged in the conversation. Next up, try and maintain eye contact, just enough to show that you're present without being too intense. I've been in some awkward situations where people are staring right into my soul for a good 5 minutes straight, and it feels like hours. So don't be that person. Notice the little things about the person, like something they're wearing or a story they've shared, and incorporate that into your conversation. Usually it helps when you can bring up something that's relatable, something that they're currently wearing or something that they've said to you before. Now, most importantly, listen more than you talk. When people feel heard, they're more likely to remember you because you've showed genuine interest in them. Honestly, I found the small observations and thoughtful comments often lead to the strongest connections. It's those little things that stick with people and turn a simple chat into something lasting. Just remember this, not every conversation will lead to a new connection. Don't force it. You won't always hit the target. Majority will be misses. There are a lot of things that come into play for a great relationship to spark. Some include similar values, interests, and goals. When having a conversation, I understand that, and my main goal is to find a common ground early to help ease the conversation going forward. For example, do you play video games? Are you launching a startup? Do you travel to the same places as I do? Do you watch sports? Are you into UFC? What are some restaurants or food you like in the city? Do you know anyone from XYZ University? Literally try anything to spark some common ground or something that you have similar with that individual that can help you boost that conversation going forward. Next up, let's talk about listening and follow-ups, which are often completely disregarded. We're so used to waiting for our turn to speak, but when you genuinely tune in, you stand out. Instead of rushing to talk about yourself, slow the hell down. Ask thoughtful questions and really listen to their answers. Then, after the event, make sure you follow up with something personal from the conversation, like an interesting point that they made. The follow-up doesn't have to be fancy. Literally, a simple DM or an email will do just fine. Here's a fun fact. Research from Harvard Business Review highlights that 80% of business leaders say timely follow-ups are crucial for building long-term professional relationships. That's such a small effort that makes the world of a difference. You can't expect to meet someone, not follow up, and somehow build a real connection, and you guys become best friends out of nowhere. So don't forget the follow-up. So here's something else that I've learned. Networking isn't always about what you can get from others. Sometimes it's about being the connector. When you recognize that two people could benefit from meeting, you should make that introduction. You're not only helping them potentially create a partnership or a collaboration, but you're also building a reputation for being someone who adds value. People tend to remember the connectors who looked out for their best interest and made a hell of an introduction. So be that person. All right, let's jump right into the common mistakes in networking. Let's be real, we've all made mistakes when it comes to networking. One of the biggest mistakes, overpitching. I've seen this too often. People think they need to sell themselves in every conversation, but that just puts people off. Focus on connecting, not selling. In most of my conversations, I don't bring up my startup or my product whatsoever. I rather get to know the person first and find common ground. The question I ask myself is there something we have in common that would lay the foundation for a great relationship? If not, well, on to the next, I guess. Another big mistake, interrupting. Let people finish their thoughts before you jump in. It's easy to get excited and want to respond right away, but being patient and allowing them to fully express themselves shows respect and helps conversation flow much, much better. You'll also know a lot more about the individual in front of you, which will help you gauge whether there's a spark or any common ground. Also, talking about yourself triggers the same areas of the brain that light up when you're enjoying good food, taking drugs, or even during sex. Basically, sharing personal information feels rewarding. It gives us a natural high. It feels good to open up. So just let them talk and listen. And then there's the killer of all killers, the destroyer of all connections, and that's not following up. You might have a great conversation, but if you don't follow up, that connection can disappear just as quickly. A quick message can turn a meeting into something more. Don't let that opportunity slip away. Make sure you send one message, whether it's an email, a text, a DM. There are no excuses. Simply go ahead and do it, because trust me, it makes a world of a difference. All right, let's face it. Networking isn't just in person anymore. We live in a world where many of us are plastered to a screen, and tools like LinkedIn or virtual events have become a powerful way to build your network. But the key is the same: be authentic. When you reach out online, personalize your message. Don't send a generic template. Take a moment to look at their profile, read something they've shared, and mention it in your message. It shows that you care, and that can make a huge difference. Try and be different. Like, I found sending a quick 30-second intro over a direct message works 10 times more than a generic text like, "Happy to connect. I noticed that you work as a manager at one of the big four. Are you open for a call?" That doesn't work, right? Like, it's gonna get read and never answered. So try something different, be authentic, be genuine. And what I found is video is the best way to do that. Here's another tip. After connecting with someone, leverage social media to make follow-ups a lot easier. You can maintain a relationship with just a quick message or comment when they end up posting. It's just an easy opportunity to stay top of mind without having to forcefully send some follow-ups. Take advantage of the social platforms because they're going to help you a ton when you want to manage multiple connections going forward. So I've been active on LinkedIn for a while now, and I found a little secret. Outreach is great to build new connections, but if you simply post about your experiences, your journeys, your highs, and your lows, someone with the same interests will eventually reach out. When you post on social media, it's like you have a megaphone for anyone to reach out to you and to start networking. I get hundreds of DMs by doing so, and it makes connecting with the right people a lot easier. Instead of having to pursue, you are pursued. And trust me, when you want to network at scale, if you want to send outreach every now and then, it works and it's important, but having people reach out to you just doubles your efforts. So try it out. All right, let's clear up a few networking myths. First off, you don't need to be an extrovert to be a great networker. I know a lot of introverts who are actually better at networking because they know how to listen. Another myth, you should always be pitching. No, networking is about relationships, not selling. And don't think networking only happens at events. It can happen anywhere, even in a casual chat or at a coffee shop. Continuing on my last point, here's one more. Networking only happens at events. Wrong again. Some of the best networking happens in casual, everyday settings, whether it's online, through a mutual connection, or in a more informal setting. Networking is everywhere. I network more going to play pickleball than I do at conferences, to be honest with you. All right, so there's a general concept across the board here. You do not need to overcomplicate networking. It's about minimalism, which is something we should all adopt. Minimalism in networking simply means focusing on quality over quantity. You don't need to fill your contact list with hundreds of names. Less is more. Don't feel pressured to meet everyone. Focus on a few key people who align with your goals and values, and you'll build much, much stronger relationships that way. So to wrap it up, here's my take on networking. It's human. It's about authentic conversation, building meaningful relationships, and being intentional about who you're meeting. Whether it's through digital business cards, LinkedIn messages, or face-to-face chats, the tools are just tools. What really matters is the effort and thought you put into your connections. Next time you go to a networking event or hop on LinkedIn, remember, it's not about collecting as many names as possible. It's about building real, lasting relationships. Like my grant advisor, Raf, who's now one of my closest friends, or the sales consultants like Zach and Ari, who've been giving me ample free advice on selling, all because we connected in a meaningful way. And all we needed to do was find common ground, like talk about cars, sports, and our ambitions for our startup. All right, well, thanks for hanging out with me today. Let me know in the comments what the best connections you've made through networking. If this video gave you some sort of new perspective, hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe. Until next time, keep it simple and keep building those relationships. See ya.